difficulties. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you, Kiki, for starting us out. And this is so odd and so different, but like she was saying, but at the same time, so needed. I mean, my heart truly, truly needs it. And so I'm already going to cry. I should have put on my waterproof mascara, my waterproof eyeliner. But anyways, it's just that time of the year, and I look forward to it every year, and it's very, just something that is, makes you happy, but at the same time still can bring a little bit of sadness with it, but it's definitely part of what makes Dia de los Muertos so special. And so we're so happy to be celebrating again this year. There's no way we could have ever not done it. And even in this different way of doing it, it's so important. And so glad that we reached out to a few families to participate with us. We knew that there's been so many people that have lost loved ones in this past year, especially in these past 7 months or so during the pandemic, and being able to really be supportive of those families. I know we didn't get to reach out to everyone, but at the same time, we wanted to narrow it down to a group of 5 or 6, which we did, and we were very, the families have really done such an excellent job. So we're really excited to be able to share with you tonight. So I'm going to get started, and I always talk about when we have a school group that comes in and we give the information on the altars and we give our tours year after year after year that I've been doing this here at Mattie Rhodes. I always try to kind of see where people are at. And so I'm going to pretend like everybody's at the same level, and we're going to talk a lot about the history and traditions of Day of the Dead, and then I'll get into specifics and tell the stories of the loved ones, especially the ones that I happen to know that are here, which is mostly everyone. So I'm get started on that level of the Day of the Dead is a celebration of life and death. So an old saying is, in order to live, you must die, and in order to die, you must live. So, and it's really just a part of that circle of life. And when I'm teaching young people, especially little ones, but even high school age and even adults, the perfect thing is to ask the question, how many of you ever seen The Lion King? And we talk about what's the message in The Lion King, and of course, there might be that one kid that says, Hakuna Matata, and you're like, no, not that message. What's the other message? And the other message is the circle of life. And really, that's exactly what the celebration of Day of the Dead is. So it's not only a celebration of the life and the person's life and what they brought to life, but also their death, and how does that affect, and where will they go next? So it's all this amazing way of looking at life and death, and not looking at it in a scary or just a time of too much sadness and too much grief and too much of that morbid or unknown type of part of it, that it really leads such a colorful part of it. And I know a lot of people have seen the movie Coco, so reflecting back on that movie is exactly the picture of what it looks like when you're in Mexico during the Day of the Dead. And I have been fortunate enough to be able to visit Mexico during the Day of the Dead at different times throughout the years, to different places, and everybody celebrates a little bit different. But my favorite place to celebrate Day of the Dead is Oaxaca. So the state of Oaxaca is very well known for Day of the Dead. But I've also been to Michoacan, to the island of now I'm forgetting, Pátzcuaro, and Janitza, and then just being able to really be a part of that celebration. So on that, I know that there's a lot of traditional things that when we look closely at the altars, that a lot of our families have put into place. And the first altar that we're going to talk about tonight is an altar that was made for, I refer to her as Mrs. Bustamante, but I know her name is Mary Lopez Bustamante, and she passed away on August the 5th of this year. So it's, only a couple months back, and being able to go to the family and ask them specifically if they were ready or willing or able to do an altar in celebration of their grandmother, mother, and they responded really quickly, you know. And some of the stuff that they want to me to be able to share, and then I have other things that I was able to experience when I walked into the space, is that she was a woman that loved music and her family, and she had 13 kids. She had over 100 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And she was 94 years old. She, you know, loved her mariachi music and her card games and her cribbage board and all these things, and the lottery tickets that are up here on her little table. I laughed because when I walked into this, well, I walked in and I was hit by what they had left behind, meaning that they set this wonderful altar up. I laughed because I saw that Mountain Dew and I thought, wow, she drinks Mountain Dew, that's pretty cool. and sure enough, yep, that's her favorite drink. This is her chair that she would have sat in, and I would love to look out the window, so it was really important for the family to have it near the window. And it was neat to hear from the family that the children, her great-grandchildren that were helping set the altar up, that they were very much connected to her. They knew the things that she loved and the things that needed to be here and the way things needed to be set up. And so it was a really nice way for all of the family members, or at least the ones that were participating, to really have a part in this. It's definitely been something that was positive for them and very helpful in what is their grieving process, truly. So, you know, whether it was the Kleenexes that needed to be on her chair, to the Kleenex that needed to be in her apron, her scratch-off tickets that she loved that are on the table that she had to only do from right to left. I think I got that right. And then, of course, her rosary and her small Bible that's sitting there. So all of these things are very important when we're trying to remember our loved ones. So they did a great job of really leaving the things that stood out in for her and the things that she loved. And so all of these little symbols really of her life are on this particular altar for her. From her love of her birds that were outside and the rocks that she'd have the great-grandchildren collect to be able to scare the squirrels away so they wouldn't mess with her birds. And one of her granddaughters, of course, telling me these weren't like pet birds. These were like ghetto birds. These were the birds that were just in the yard, and she loved their birds. They were special to her. So that is just a way of, it really brings you to who she was as a person, and just knowing how connected her family was. My favorite are her pictures, these photos, and that's her talking to her birds outside. So being able to see her face, it reminds me so much of my own grandmother. So when I walked in and saw the lamp on with the chair, it was as if she was sitting there, and it just really caught me off guard and made me just automatically start crying just because it brought so much emotion. So I know a lot of us have experienced that and know what it's like to have a loved one that has passed on but feel so connected, whether it's if you smell a certain smell or you hear a certain song and it takes you back to that moment of being with them. And so I felt that when I came into the gallery and saw the wonderful altar that they had done for her. So it's you know, just a great way of representing her, and I think they did such a great job, and I know she's looking at them just loving it. I know she's doing that, and I know the family had shared something really sweet that one of the great-grandchildren had said that when that night they were saying their prayers, and after they built the altar, and the young boy had said to his mom that he didn't think that what they called her Ma, that they didn't think that Ma was going to be in the stars watching over them tonight, and his mother said, Why do you think she's not watching over us in the stars? And he said, because she's sitting in her chair and she's looking out the window, and she's looking out for everybody else tonight. So that was really just a sweet, way of being able to be in that moment. And I think, she's very proud of the work that they did, and I think everybody, it's just really, really beautiful to see in person for sure. So I hope you guys got to get the good view of it.
Just gonna show these really quick.
This next altar is for Leanne Perez and her daughter Bonnie put this altar together. Leanne died this year, May 27th of this year. And it's been one of those very difficult for her family, of course. She battled a long battle of cancer. And I had seen her through the years when she had gotten sick, and then when she seemed to be in remission, and then of course being sick again more recently. And her daughter had a wonderful way of capturing her, and she shared with me that her mom didn't mind her taking photographs of her even when she was sick, this most recent time. And when I had found out that she had passed, it really hit me personally, of course, but only because she was definitely a mentor to me. And Leanne, she was the one that, if any of you are familiar with the murals on 23rd Street, which is now Super Chavez Avenue, of course, she was the one who started up those murals. So as a high school student, I was at St. Pius High School as a freshman. She had sent out a flyer that was recruiting young students that were interested in art to be a part of a mural project. So of course I was all over it because I was into art and I was really into my community and doing all that. So as a young 14-year-old, I started doing murals with Leanne. And through the years, every summer we would do a new mural, and for many years, we were just up on that scaffolding. I knew how to put a scaffolding together and being able to, know everything there is to know about the Mexican culture, learning from her the things that she could really teach and inspire young students with, and really my love of a lot of the things that I think reflect me, who I am. Really, I owe it to Leanne. She was the one that told me that I needed to visit Chicago and the Mexican National Art Museum to be able to view artwork by Frida Kahlo, or I needed to go visit because they do a big Day of the Dead exhibit there. So I know that she had a love of the Mexican culture, even though she was not Mexican, and really just she was an art teacher for many years in the Kansas, Missouri School District. Her house was it's just a museum. She's created amazing paintings, some that aren't finished, that are still in her basement studio. Her daughter shared, just that her husband Javier has said, it's Leanne's gallery. It's her space. It's her exhibit space, and that goes with all of her folk art that she had in the home, to her beautiful original art pieces, just everything. And seeing this woman out there outside when we were young, with blonde hair and just with paint on her and teaching us the things that we needed to learn and do. I mean, she was a true inspiration and really just, had so much life to give. And I think it shows in the pictures and the things that her daughter chose to put on the altar. And I knew that the altar was going to be amazing. And I was really excited because I know Leanne had actually done an altar many years ago and had used hot pink in the background. So it was really, and I hadn't said this to her daughter, I was glad that she put the hot pink serape on the back and then used a lot of bright blues. And I don't remember who the altar was dedicated to at that time, but but it just really reflects kind of on that whole circle of her daughter now doing an altar in dedication to her mother. But yes, just everything. Her purse, her glasses that are here, to her red cowboy boots that are here, all the calaveras and the calacas that are on the altar, to her, just earrings or personal things, necklace, the rosaries, all those different things that were definitely a part of her and what she was very much connected to, and how her family loved her and how she loved her family. But it's and her grandkids, her grandson and her other two. I think she had 3 grandchildren. So the 3 grandchildren, her grandsons. There's a picture of myself along with her daughter Bonnie that were all part of the mural crew when we painted a mural of the Mayans. But I learned so much from her, and I know she had an amazing life, and she definitely will be missed.